often we write programs so that they'll do something over and over and over again based on a condition. And so one common example would be reading lines in from a file. I'm not going to go completely into the code for that, but typically you're going to read until the end of file is reached. So we're going to set a variable, a flag, if you will, EOF, end of file, equals false. Though for Python naming rules, because that is not a constant, we should do it in lowercase. So we set that to false, and we don't need to put it in quotes because it is a Boolean value and not a string. So we would check to see if we had read it. And this is going to be pseudocode. We're just going to go through the logic, not actually opening and reading a file. So we would start by creating a while statement, because we're looking for the condition. So while not EOF. So this means that as long as the end of file value is false, we're going to keep going. If it was true, we'd stop. So then when we would read in lines, close to what happens, this is not the actual code. So we would keep looping through here, checking to see if it's reached. And the computer will automatically signal when you've gotten to the end of the file. We don't need to trigger that. So we'll keep going through it until this value changes to true, and then it stops. So let's do a simpler version of this. We'll do a simple countdown, because typically you're going to change that flag value in your code. So we'll say that you're doing a countdown where you want it to count down from 10 to 0. So we're going to set number equals to 10, equals sign is the assignment variable, while number greater than or equal to 0, print number. Let's look at the logic here. Right now, we start, number is 10. Well, number is greater than or equal to 0. 10 is greater than or equal to 0. So we would print the value for number, which I'll put over here. And since we will keep going back, because it's by indentation, till the end of the loop is reached, so this needed a colon, we'll come back, and it's still 10. We haven't done anything to change it. Since there is nothing at any point in our code to change the value of number, that would give us an infinite loop. That is typically an error. There are very rare cases where you might want something to continue infinitely. For example, if you're programming a clock, that would keep going. You wouldn't want it to stop. But in this case, we want to include code that will make this change. So we will print number, and then I'm going to add the code that's also indented in. It's still part of the same code block that will change this value. So we'll do number equals number minus 1. So the first time we go through this, number is 10. While it's greater than or equal to 0, we print number. 10's on the screen. Now, number equals number minus 1. So in our point in memory, this has turned into 9, which will print up here. And we will keep going. And I'm going to just skip down to 1. 1 is greater than or equal to 0. It will print. 0 is greater than or equal to 0. It will print. At that point, the value of number becomes -1. This loop ends, and we go into the next logic block. So a while is a looping statement that tests a condition to see if it should continue. and it can test the condition before it performs any action. This is one of the more common types of repetition structures that you're going to see.